What's up, everyone? If this does make it online, my name is Daryl Turner. I commonly go by DJ. I'm 26-year-old old, and I live in Basel, Switzerland with my fiance. And I currently work as a digital nomad. I run an online business. It's a Facebook marketing agency where we work with healthcare professionals and other fitness massage industry professionals to help them grow their businesses. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. This is the second time I've recorded this video. Apparently, my microphone wasn't plugged in, and I recorded with the webcam microphone, and this room is way too boomy because the sound insulation isn't set up properly. So I don't want to fake anything, but I'm sure this isn't going to have the same exact emotion as the very first video had, but hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter and have a little bit more clarity. So let's just kind of dig in. Consider this the first vlog, maybe vlog 0, maybe vlog -5. I'm not really sure. But what I wanted to do is start documenting my life again. Something that I did in the past that I thought was really cool, and I want to start doing now. So kind of let me back up. For the people who watch this, if it does make it online, the people who know who I am, you've known that for quite a few years, I was an online persona called That Drum Corps Guy. Because at that time, drum corps was one of the most important and things to me, one of the things I loved the most. And honestly, I started it, a lot of people don't know, is when I had cancer. At that time, I was going through chemo, and I had a lot of free time on my hands. Most of the time, I leave out the cancer part, just tell people I had a lot of free time, but I had all this free time, and Tumblr was kind of up and coming at the time. And so I had nothing else to do but like make memes and then publish whatever my thoughts were. So it started with me talking completely about drum corps, and then shifted into whatever I was thinking, experiencing, going through at that time, I would talk about it. A lot of that happened to be advice for people who wanted to audition for drum corps, check it out. And let me pause. If you don't know what drum corps is, go search drum corps, 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 search it online. But it's basically like a professional version of a marching band. Sounds really lame. You have to watch it to understand. But anyway, so I would talk about this a lot online, and purely by accident, I started to grow a following. Now, in the land of today where, an influencer isn't considered popular to like 10,000 followers or so, I reached 6 or 7,000. I know I never actually hit 8,000. So about 6 or 7,000 followers in a very, very narrow industry where a lot of people or an activity knew who I was. Got to the point where drum corps, they go on tour around the country, and every single city we went to, someone would know who I am. Not just members of other drum corps, but fans. And it was always people probably about my age, a little bit younger than me. So I was blogging around 18 or 19, I think, on Tumblr. And so most of my fans and followers were between like 15 up to about 21 or so. But what was amazing was this was all by accident. It was really cool to have kind of some, I guess, accolades or notoriety or whatever that came with it. But this really was just, I put out whatever I was thinking to the world, whatever I thought was going to be helpful. I didn't really care what the response was. And I didn't know that I had, I don't think the word influencer in 2011 was really a thing. That wasn't a thing that people tried to be. It just happened from being myself. And so one of the struggles I have today is that I work as an online business owner, and I use my Facebook now as a mix between my personal self and a polished personal brand. I would never do anything that's fake, but I'm way more conscious of what I'm posting because, quite honestly, I want to use my Facebook to get more business. And that leads me a lot of times to overthinking, like, what should Facebook be used for and all of these things. And one, I just need a place where I don't care, or I care a lot less. I'm sure if this thing works out and kicks off, I'll start caring a lot more. But I just need a place where I'm just dumping my thoughts out into the world, and I don't really care what happens. I don't care who's watching. I don't care who comments. Um, I'm still a human. I'm sure I'm going to care a little bit, but I'm not starting this with the intention or acting with the intention of this is going to be big or popular or give me anything at all. And I've been thinking about this for weeks, if not months. And today it's what, September 16th, 2018. And today I was on Tumblr again, and I was going through some old posts, and what I realized was so cool was that although everything I was doing was in the moment, now that it's all said and done, I have I've essentially created a journal of my life for about 3 or 4 years, a little bit longer. I still use Tumblr from time to time, but I've created this journal of my life of everything I was thinking and what was important to me, what I cared about, what I was doing. And I love being able to have that and go back. That means a lot to me because my handwriting's terrible and I actively avoid a written journal. I've tried them in the past, and my handwriting, I just can't slow my hands down enough to have really nice legible handwriting to be able to go back to. And so because I saw this on my Tumblr, I thought, you know, you've been thinking about this for months. You need to just pull the trigger. Don't care about being polished. Don't care about effects. Don't care about anything. Just get your microphone, turn on your webcam, start talking, and start documenting. And so that's what I want to do with this. One of my I wouldn't say mentors, someone who is very influential to me at this time is Gary Vaynerchuk, a business mogul, marketing agency owner, and he talks a lot about document, don't create. And I think that's so amazing. And it's not so much that I hope this maybe turns into a personal brand and some cool stuff, but he says in one of his videos, what's really cool is you can go back and you're going to be able to have whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're working on, all of that's documented and you can see your own growth. And that's what I want for myself. I want to have a place where I can go back and see what I was working on, what I was thinking on, what I was going through. So that's the purpose of this. I don't know how often I'll make videos. I don't know how the video formats are going to be, but for now I'm just talking to you, whoever, if you're actually listening. So let's kind of just say, where am I? Why am I here? I live in northern Switzerland in a city called Basel with my fiance. I met her several years ago when I was still a musician and I had come overseas, and like a cheesy Hallmark movie or a rom-com, I met a girl while I was gone. I remember my last week at my job at the time, and one of my coworkers saying, knowing you, DJ, you're probably going to fly off the other side of the world and meet some girl. I remember thinking, that's crazy. That's never going to happen. And that's exactly what did. So a lot of back and forth flying, and, finally got down to, we want to be together. How are we going to do this? And it ultimately became easier for me to pick up my life and move. And actually, our relationship is one of the reasons why I do what I do today. When we first started dating, I had another business. It was called Ride Life. It was going to be app-based and local-based, and it was about carpooling and reducing college parking congestion, something that I still feel very passionate about, but obviously I don't work towards anymore. But at that time, she was finishing her master's. I was finishing my undergrad. And, we were looking at how can we live together? And I had started to fade out, and I started to switch into teaching music online. It allowed me to quit my job in college and live on my own. And that wasn't me setting out to be like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was like, I hate working and I can make 3 times as much if I work for myself. I'm going to do that. And so during that process, one of the trips I made to Switzerland, I did something amazing where I broke even. And what I mean is, I think I spent 3 or 4 weeks in Switzerland and I made all the money that I had spent while I was gone. And this light bulb moment happened where I said, oh my God, if I can break even, I can profit. I can live working online. This is something I should really get into more. And so, I started to go a little bit harder into building up the music studio. Everything I had done through social media, I learned how to find students, how to take advantage of Instagram and Facebook and all these things that I had taken the knowledge from Ride Life, where I had invested super heavily in social media for the business. Well, around this time, I had gone back and we were trying to figure out how we were going to live together, have some form of normal relationship that's not 5,000 miles apart. And so she was applying for jobs. She's emailed every single professor across the Southeast United States. I told her, like, apply anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's in America. I'll move. We'll make it work. And so one of the women that she emailed, oddly enough, met my mother. My mother was at a women's business or leadership retreat and was just saying, oh, my son, blah, 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 is with someone from Switzerland. And the woman said, oh, actually, I think she emailed me. Is she still looking for a job? I'm leaving soon. And it was like, eureka, we found something. This weird coincidence, this is going to work. The problem, though, was that this woman, her job was composed of two jobs at two different locations. See, my fiance, she has her master's. She teaches German as a second language. She teaches adults, so she's qualified to be a college professor. The issue was that in order to get a visa, you need to be sponsored and have a full-time job. And so between the two universities was a major university and a small one. The small one had never hired someone before from another country, and they literally had no idea what to do. And the big one, they had hired someone in the past, but unfortunately it fell through, and they didn't want to do it again. See, they had hired someone to teach one of their courses years prior, but the visa fell through right before the course started, leaving the course with no professor for a very long time. And they said, you've got a great resume, you'd be a great addition, but we really don't want to have to sponsor the visa. If anyone else can do this, we'll make it work. And so between both of them saying, either we don't know what to do, we don't want to do this, it kind of fell through and it just didn't happen. And so, this was such an awful, awful experience because by this point she was back in Switzerland, I was back in America, and I remember the FaceTimes during this period and just watching, I was helpless. Like, on the other side of the world, I can't even like hold her to comfort her. And I remember feeling so helpless. And at that moment I said, we're never going to have to worry about where we live or what we do for work. I'm going to work online. If I have to make enough money for both of us, I will. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do this. And that's when I made the switch. I realized that teaching lessons online probably wasn't going to be enough the way that I was doing them. They weren't priced high enough. It was enough for me to live, but not really enough for me to thrive. And so I had realized at the time that I had all of these skills from building a business through social media. I didn't even know that a marketing agency was an option. I found out about it at the time that this big explosion of Facebook ads, experts and gurus and marketing agencies happened where, I saw an ad from someone and I saw 5, 6, 7, 8 ads from all of these people saying like, you can learn how to do this. So I started to check out their stuff and realize, oh, I already know how to do this. I just need to start getting clients. And that was the switch for me doing, social media for my own business to social media as a profession and becoming a marketing agency. So as a freelancer, and I worked like this for a while, and I got really lucky and I got picked up by a very influential person. At that exact moment in time, probably a dream job. I got hired to be a marketing director and a Facebook advertising specialist, where I was basically a marketing coach and advertising specialist for a high-end private group. I got to work with a mastermind, and those are my favorite kind of people in the world to work with. But unfortunately, things didn't work out the way I wanted to. Several months into it, it was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. To go from freelancing to suddenly being in charge of something so large, I just didn't have the foundation to make that move that quickly. And things started to fall apart on my end. I had trouble keeping up. There are things that I didn't know who to ask for help. I wasn't really sure. I know how to do Facebook ads, but having organization and systems at that scale, I did not know at that time. And so ultimately, I got fired, and it was pretty ugly. It's the first time I got fired from something, and there's a lot I learned in that experience. I understand why I got fired. Things kind of got ugly after it, unfortunately, but I learned so much. I learned about what was possible, what I was capable of, and unfortunately, I learned a lot of what not to do. And so I kind of went back on my own and saying, okay, if I'm going to have an agency, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do things right. I'm going to lay the foundation necessary so that when I get to that scale again, when I'm managing 20 plus, 20, 30 clients, that I need to have systems in place. I need to have employees that are trained and ready to go. Honestly, I was just doing way too much work for one person. By the time that I started hiring people, it was just too late. So kind of here I am now on the other side where I've got a business, my employees and my contractors. I'm constantly asking for feedback. I think the one thing that I wish that happened to me when I was employed was I wish I had asked earlier and more often, are you okay? Are you overwhelmed? Do you need help? Or how can I help you? I think, looking back, those are some things that probably could have made the difference in, maybe keeping that job, which may or may not have been right, but I wish that had been asked more of me. And, I kind of got handed everything and said, hey, go take care of this, which I thought I was ready for. And I didn't know that I was not ready to take on that much that fast. So here I am now, employees and contractors. And, one of the cool things we just launched is a business accelerator program. We're taking business owners and we're actually teaching what we do inside of the agency, which so far has been very cool. It's something that I want to try out. It's different. We've never done this before. A lot of times I've done a lot of free education because I'm generally not in the business of education. I'm in the business of action. But I wanted to try something that kind of split the difference where people who can't afford to hire a marketing agency, I want to still be able to help them. And what I honestly hope is that we help them so well that their businesses grow and they grow to the point where they can't do things themselves. And instead of being focused on constantly making more money, they're wanting to buy more time. And that's where we want to be positioned, all ready to go as the agency to say, like, we're here to help you buy your time back and increase your bottom line. Let's talk about hiring us as an agency. So it's cool so far. I really like it. The class that I'm teaching has been very, very great, and it's a win-win. It's a lower price point for them, but it's still worth it for us as an agency, which I love. But that kind of leads me to this point of, so where are you going forward? What is the thing you're working on? And so I think this is the first time that I have said it out loud, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I'm going to refine it, I guess. But I want to build a 7-figure business, minimum $1 million in billings. What's our profit margin going to be? That's a whole other thing, but I want to build $1 million business. I've seen other people do it. I've talked to people who've done it. I've talked to a lot of people who've done it. I've networked with them, masterminded with them. And I just remember, when someone tells you something is possible and it just opens your mind. I can remember, when I was still employed, my boss at the time, I still have the screenshot saying, I want to be there when you make your first $1 million. And that was that moment that said, this is real. See, for a lot of people, $1 million is synonymous for a lot of money. It isn't real. What would you like? Oh, $1 million would be nice. Just meaning a large amount of money. But no, we've kind of tracked it out, wrote it down, what it would take to get there. And it's very real to me. And I've waited this long, if this even does go online, I've waited this long to say that because you get a lot of negative feedback when you go over something that's financial. And I kind of want to explain, because money is not the end goal, but it's a benchmark that I want to hit. See, if I told people that I want to run a marathon, there would be like, oh my God, that's amazing. You're going to have to train a lot. I wish you the best of luck. You have to do this, this, and this to get there. It's going to be a long process, but you can do it. But if you tell someone you want to make $1 million, it's like, why would you want that? that's greedy, that's this, that's that. And so many negative things where people have attached to money. And for me, I've talked to, I've met, I've worked with people who have seven-figure businesses. And what I realize is that they operate at a completely different level than everyone else. And it's a level that I want to be. And the thing that they do that's most amazing is impact. Like, let's be real. If you had $1 million business, all your bills would be taken care of and you wouldn't have to worry about anything. Most emergencies are not emergencies anymore. Car breaks down, you can fix it. Can't pick someone up, you can hire a cab, whatever. Money fixes a lot of day-to-day problems that you may come up. But imagine your favorite charity and knowing that every year you give them $200, $20, $50, whatever it may be. Imagine being able to say, this is my favorite charity, I'm going to give them $200,000. Imagine the impact that you can have on the things that you care about the most. That's what I'm jealous of, and that's what I want to have. It's not about how much I keep, it's about how much I can give and what I can do with that, which is so fascinating to me. I'm really envious of people who are at that scale. I've got to meet so many of them, and it's so just what they're able to do for the things that they care about the most. I'm truly jealous of. And I realized I could have one or two ways. I could just be jealous and kind of stand on the outside and say, man, I wish I could have that. Or I could look at it and say, clearly that's possible. It's like saying that the 4-minute mile where it wasn't possible till you saw someone else do it. $1 million business is my marathon. It is my 4-minute mile. It's the thing that I want to hit. And it's not about having any more money than anyone else. There's literally always going to be someone who has more money than me. For some people, $1 million is a joke. I remember watching a YouTube video with Grant Cardone, and they're saying like, what would you do if you had $1 million? He said, man, I'd kill myself. That'd be like 95% of my money would be gone. So there's always someone bigger who has more, but I don't care about that. I don't care about having more than someone else. That's the benchmark for me that says I've built something significant, because I know the only way to get there is to help people. I've seen businesses that large on the inside. You don't become $1 million business by being a scam or being bad at what you do or anything. You have to provide real value to the world and help people. If you do anything else, it's going to fall apart. And I truly believe that if you help others get what they want, they're going to help you get what you want. So I'm kind of on this mission to say, I want to put out at least 10x to the world what I want. So if I want to do $1 million business, I need to provide the world at least 10 million in value. And that's to business owners, to people who need help, to people who want to grow to the next level. And so that's kind of my mission when I'm on it. It's really weird. And part of me says you shouldn't make it so financial. But it's kind of something where, like, when you first start losing weight, your first goal is probably a number on the scale. And as you get further into it, as you get closer, you realize that there's other goals that you can have to track to help figure things out. But you need to start somewhere and have that goal. And so for me, that's a 7-figure business, $1 million in 1 year. So yeah, I guess it goes online. This is the first time people are going to acknowledge me saying it and actually doing it. And it's at the end, so if anyone does watch it, it'll be very few people. So that's really all I had to say for this. Kind of just get what's on my chest off and start this process of documenting what's happening to me. I don't know how often I'm going to upload. I don't know how long the videos are going to be. I don't know what the style is going to be. There's other things that I do. I travel. We've got some trips coming up that I want to do more of, but I want to at least sit down, turn the microphone on, turn the camera on, and just start saying, this is what's going on in my life. This is what I'm thinking about. And if someone gets value out of it, that's amazing. But I want something I can look back to years from now, So assuming this is online, do what I always do when I have a long post and just say, if you watch this or listen to this and you got value out of it, let me know. But I also want to ask, what is your marathon or your 4 minute mile? What's that thing in your life that is just on the edge of reality? I'll tell you, for me, $1 billion, that's not real. 100 million, that's still kind of not real, but $1 billion is like, I can't even fathom that at all. But a million, that seems very reasonable. But I want to know, what's that thing for you? Is becoming a doctor, professional musician? I mean, I want to know. I'm interested because when we both reach the end of our journeys, I want to look back and say, hey, remember when we were only at this point? So that's all. Um, Leave that comment, let me know. And I guess this is going online. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.